Hey, good people, it's Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. We're going to talk about Anthony Edwards, the dunk of the year, ESPYs. Does he still get enough respect? Or is this going to be all about the blue blood college sports teams and some of these NFL teams that maybe get a little bit more respect than Anthony Edwards? Also, the Timberwolves. The Lakers are out here making deal after deal. The Rockets, you see Paul George moving. You see Chris Paul getting signed. Are the Timberwolves doing enough to be relevant in 2024, 2025? We'll talk about all that and much more coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. Now the Ron Johnson Show. On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. He's played with them, hung out with them, and grown up with all the big names in Minnesota sports. They're hanging out with Ron Johnson. It's the Ron Johnson Show on the Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. And it starts now.
Hey, everybody, it's the Ron Johnson Show, and thank you for joining me on this Tuesday. I hope you guys are having a great summer. I know I am, but you know what? We're missing sports. And sports, it's fun. Like basketball is done, football is done, softball is done, baseball is really hockey's done. Baseball and the Lynx are the only thing going on right now, the WNBA. So we know the Caitlin Clark show is going to continue. We know that the Twins are maybe going to make a push to the playoffs. But we have to dive into a lot of the things because the award shows are coming up. And I want to make sure everybody knows as we're going to talk about the award shows. We're going to talk about off-season moves. We're going to talk about building franchise. Of course, we got the Daily 3 today. But before we jump into all that and I bring my producer to the show, Sam Ekstrom, I want everybody to know today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Just make every moment more. As the playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. We've already discussed that. But this summertime, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus. Who doesn't want a boost or a bonus? Daily. Think about that. Every single day, a boost or a bonus, that's like free coffee. Who's not going to take a free coffee? Like it's a free coffee every day. That's right. A free daily bonus or boost. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. And think about that. You get a boost or a bonus to go bet on the Twins or to bet on the Lynx. Like they are winning. You can bet the overs. You can bet the unders. You can bet on specific players to hit home runs. Trust me, it makes every game much more fun. I've done a few parlays and I've been more dialed into games with teams that I'm not cheering for than I've ever been with FanDuel. So make sure you guys download FanDuel.com or whatever app market you're using. And terms apply because it's going to be based off the state you're in. But make sure you check that out. I will say that for the people in the Midwest, Iowa, go over to Iowa, go to Chicago, go to Colorado. You can go to Missouri. You can make some bets there on FanDuel.com. But to make sure you go to FanDuel.com/locked on to make sure you get the daily bonus or the boost if you want extra into your account just to make your bets more once you win. Well, as I bring my producer to the show, Sam Ekstrom, we're gonna jump into today's segment. I want everybody to know too. Make sure you can go on Amazon Fire, you can go on Roku, you can get our show on there. But YouTube, make sure you go on YouTube and download the YouTube app on your phone. Hit subscribe when you search Locked On Sports Minnesota. We're trying to get our subscribers up to 10 grand. Hopefully we can get them up to 10,000 by football season. That's our goal. Or once football season starts, that's our goal. So let's make sure we get there. But I want everybody to know we're gonna talk today about basketball in this first segment, Sam. And when you think about the Wolves, Paul George, he's on the move. DeJounte Murray, he's on the move. Isaiah Hartenstein, which that one, like some of the money some of these guys are getting too, like the I got a group chat with some friends, Spice Adams, who you guys know, friend of the show. He's in the group chat with a bunch of our high school friends. Some were athletes, some were just friends of ours. And that was one of the ones. Hartenstein was the ones that came up because they're like, how do you get that much money for I think he was like 8 points, 8 rebounds on the season or something like that. And it's like, you're getting broke off like that for 3 years. But hey, it's today. Because Sam, if I'm not mistaken, the Hartenstein, his deal was like 3 years. Is it like 90 million or something like that?
Yeah, 87 million is the number that I remember seeing. That's crazy money when you don't average double figures. But the NBA salaries, man, the teams are small. So there's the top players get so much money, and then the medium players get so much money. It's pretty insane.
It's crazy to think that the NFL has not figured out they need to double the salaries. Like they need to not for all the players, but the salary cap to give them the option. Because now, I don't know if you heard the newest for the NFL with money. They're talking about quarterbacks would be a separate salary from the salary cap. So you can go sign your quarterback to whatever you want, and then that's not going to affect your salary cap. So, for instance, the Vikings could have signed Kirk Cousins for 180 million, and that 180 million goes to the quarterback salary cap, which goes to the coaching salary cap, which there is none. So what they're trying to do is create a way to be able to pay for whatever quarterback they want, give them as much money as they want, and it not affect the other 52 players on the field. Now, one, quarterback is special. I get it. Receivers can't live without them. But we also know quarterbacks can't live without receivers and offensive line. So I think they're going to get in a slippery slope if you put quarterbacks on a coaching pedestal. And that's what I worry about. But when you look at the NBA and you talk about these salaries, one, you're like, well, why don't you just buy everybody? Because if you can give this guy 3 years, 90 million, like who can't get big money? And so I just worry about the Timberwolves. And so I know that was a question of the day. Are the Timberwolves doing enough? I don't think so right now. I mean, I feel like they should at least be in the conversation. Like their name's not even popping up in these conversations. I keep seeing the Lakers in a potential Brook Lopez trade to make him a center so that Anthony Davis can go back to the 4 because they want to go bigger. Everybody else is trying to go smaller. The Lakers are like, man, let's get Anthony Davis out of the center spot and let's get him back in the power forward spot. And that maybe can make him more effective and he can be more like a cat and stretch the floor. And maybe that's what the Lakers are looking at. Like, man, if we can get the way to make it like so Anthony Edwards can be or Anthony Davis can be like Cat, and we get a big in here just to be in the way, and then he doesn't have to guard centers. He can stretch out and shoot that perimeter line free throw. He doesn't have to guard Joker. We can put that on Brook Lopez, but we're not hearing the Timberwolves name, and I don't know. What do you think, Sam? Do the Timberwolves, like, should they be involved in some of this, or are they good?
Yeah, I mean, they're so limited financially in what they can do. They would have to make a big trade, and we've talked ad nauseum about, if they trade Cat, what can they get back?
Right.
And Tim Connolly was on the radio yesterday, and he was talking about the West. There aren't many teams that are mailing it in. Maybe the Jazz, maybe the Trailblazers. Other than that, you got 13 teams in the West that are probably going to try pretty hard. You've got Wemby with the Spurs. They add Chris Paul. The Grizzlies are going to get Ja potentially for a full season now. He had the injury bug, the suspension all last year. Obviously the Mavs add Clay. The Thunder add Hartenstein. Clippers are still going to be tough with Harden and George. The Lakers with LeBron and Bronny and Anthony Davis and D'Lo. I mean, they'll run it back. There's a dozen teams. There's a baker's dozen teams that all think they can contend next year. So the Wolves standing pat, are they falling a little bit behind? Maybe. They might be. I didn't even mention the Pelicans. The Pelicans go get DeJounte Murray, so they're trying to load up. It is a crazy, crazy conference right now, and Minnesota has just got to be hoping that they get internal improvement, right? They're banking on Jaden McDaniels taking a step, Anthony Edwards taking another step somehow, getting even better, getting something from Rob Dillingham, because they can't afford to add these big numbers in free agency. They're just hoping that they can get Slow-Mo back. That's like the best case scenario for them.
Yeah, because when I'm looking at the numbers, you're right. Like, and that's why I was doing a little math trying to figure out this. This is one thing about the NBA that I dislike. It's similar to like hockey. Like hockey, and I'm starting to learn hockey now, so I get it. What I didn't like about hockey was like how some of the wins and losses were added up based off like where you like who played who, and is it like, because isn't it different for like division versus like something else? But that's what I was and sorry people, I was looking at the wrong report. It's Klay Thompson to the Mavs, not Paul George. Paul George is not going back to the Clippers. The Clippers have gotten better because they have James Harden, and then they're getting back some guys from the G League and overseas, and so they just put I think Terrence Mann is now in the Rockets as well, and so the Clippers, and so they're saying James Harden with Terrence Mann, and then you look at the other pieces they still have. They're saying it's going to be a better team, and Kawhi Leonard is still there. He decided to come back and not leave. So it's going to be a better team because they don't have Paul George to get in the way, kind of like the Pacers. I mean, I feel like the Paul George effect hasn't worked in his favor. It feels like when he leaves and they add the pieces they need, those teams get better. And that worries me. And that's why I've never wanted the Timberwolves to get Paul George, because he doesn't play within the system. It always seems like there's something missing on teams he's on. And maybe this is the Clippers figured out. They're like, let's move on from him. But yeah, Klay Thompson to the Mavs, which adds a move ball shooter with an already like loaded team. And so if you can go Klay, Kyrie, and Luka, oh my goodness. Like they were there. They were there to win a championship. So, like, why wouldn't Klay do that? Like, that's a better team than the Warriors. And I know for Klay, his thought right now is, one, he's salty. We see all the internet jokes about what's his name, Steph and Draymond. Making, it's jokes. It's not real people, but it's Steph and Draymond. They're putting their heads on different people in different movies, talking about you out the group. Like, what do you mean I'm out the group? Like, it's just it's us now, man. You out the group. And so it's all these jokes. That's from the 5 Heartbeats. There's another one from the Temptations. When they're talking about, ain't nobody come to see you, Otis. They're making jokes on the internet now about Klay leaving. But Klay, of course, goes right out to that dude Brinkley. And I think he's in New York, goes to his gym the famous gym that everybody goes to and shoots 1,000%. And he goes there and has an absolute ridiculous workout, and of course has to post it on social media. Because Bronny and his dad and Bryce were there. We saw Angel Reese was there. Now we're seeing Klay Thompson is there, and Klay Thompson was lights out. Now I know they're not posting. Like, post me something with a time lapse where there's no edits. Yeah, you're editing and sending us the best shots. But I would say the dude wasn't touching net on some of his shots. Like, it was just like you could tell he was like, I got to get back in shape. I got to get healthy. Like the fact that you're hearing Klay's name and all these and the Timberwolves haven't even like sniffed it. Not even, because I'm not saying like you have to go after these guys, but like if the Lakers are looking at a potential trade for Brook Lopez, and that's not what the Timberwolves need. They don't need Brook Lopez. But I always wonder that, like, if you look at the pieces that you could possibly trade, like, could you unload Rudy Gobert to maybe go get a Klay Thompson? And that's my question to you. Would you trade Rudy Gobert for the guarantee that you can get Klay Thompson, Sam?
It's tempting. It's tempting. In that theory, I think I would probably hang on to Rudy because I'm not sure what Klay has left in the tank. Right. He was not very effective last year with Golden State, big injury history. I saw Rudy be very good last year. I think that so my eyes tell me that Rudy is still playing at a high level for what he does. Klay brings you something totally different, but I also was not convinced he still has it last year. So I'd probably stand pat, but it's a compelling question.
Yeah, because I'm looking at all these potential trades. These are just things that Adrian Wojnarowski is throwing out there that these NFL or NBA execs are throwing his way, throwing him a bone because then he'll get their story out when they need it out. And he's just reporting. He's doing his job. Hey, I hear this is a potential trade. I hear this person can end up here. The one thing I will say, it's usually pretty close, or it's usually you like a GM will throw that out as a staking horse so that everybody sees it, all these other teams see it, and then now they have to come, if they actually want your guy before this other team gets them, then they got to come with a better offer. Because people kind of know what the Timberwolves or the Lakers are willing to do to win, because LeBron is like almost done. And so they have to load up to help him out. Like, there's no way they can play another season with the roster they have. Like, it just didn't work. It's not enough. D'Angelo Russell is not Mike Conley. He is a scorer, but he's not consistent enough. So when he's not consistent scoring, he's not a consistent like passer and facilitator. Mike Conley is consistent, and when he's scoring, it's just an added bonus. But other than that, you're getting one of the best point guard facilitators in the league. And that's why going to the Spurs, thinking about Wemby and that offense and needing a leader, that's why Pop went and got Chris Paul, because he's like, I need a leader. I need a guy that can come out here and make things happen and control the game and slow my team down and get Wemby to his spot, make sure Wemby knows. And so it's like a Tony Parker type of situation now. And we know Pop loves a good point guard that has a veteran presence. And of course, people are going to reports now and videos. I don't know if you've seen it lately, but the Warriors playing the Spurs this year, Pop and Chris Paul were having a lot of conversations. Of course, it's just because they've both been in the league forever. But people are like, oh, that wink right there, that was Pop telling Chris, I'm gonna come get you. like no, it was, who knows what they were talking about. But it's funny though. Now you give him a leader. Like a lot of these locker rooms, we've always joked about that. When Mike Conley wasn't around, the Timberwolves imploded on a 60-point night by Cat, because they didn't have that leader to kind of slow them down when they needed to. So, but yeah, we got to jump into this next topic because this is a good one. Where we're talking about the ESPYs, people. The ESPYs top 4 plays of the year. Let us know what you think. Who's the top play of the year? We got the candidates. We'll let you know. One of them is Anthony Edwards. One of them has Alabama in it. We'll talk about that. And one of them has the softball World Series champions in it. We'll talk about all that and much more coming up next. But we'll have a word from our sponsors.
We're brought to you today by FanDuel. Ron loves sports. I love sports. We want as many sports as possible. We don't have hockey, though, right now. We don't have basketball. We don't have NFL football. The sports aren't sportsing. But FanDuel still is going to give you opportunities to bet WNBA, MLB, and they're going to give you bonuses and boosts daily for all customers, not just new customers, all customers at FanDuel, hooking you up all summer long, every single day, every single player. So head to FanDuel.com/lockedon, FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make the most out of your summer. Twins are back at home tonight, taking on Detroit. Simeon Woods-Richardson on the mound. Twins are -106. They are -184 on the run line. They're actually slight underdogs against the Tigers, pitching Skubal on the mound. Might be good value on the Twins at Target Field. Check that out. Maybe get a boost on it at FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more.
So now we got to talk about this, Sam. So you kick it off. What's the question and what are the plays that we're talking about for the ESPYs?
All right, ESPY nominees released. Anthony Edwards dunk, and this is the dunk. This is the Utah Jazz dunk over John Collins.
And that's the broken finger, right?
The broken, dislocated finger situation, yes. That is up for play of the year across all sports. Now, these are the competitors, Ron. We got to decide if Anthony Edwards is going to win this thing. So he's going up against Lamar Jackson in the AFC Championship game, catching his own batted pass and running for about 15 yards. To me, this one is a little lackluster just because he didn't score. They lost the game. It was, a bad pass to begin with, and then he caught it and ran. But I'm tossing that one personally. Then I think it gets tougher. Alabama beating Auburn on a 4th and 31 heave. Isaiah Bond with the touchdown in the back of the end zone that kept Alabama alive for the college football playoff. That's a big play. And then, Ron, your sport, softball, Jada Coleman sending Oklahoma to the College World Series with a walk-off opposite field home run. And, of course, Oklahoma won their 4th consecutive title. So we got to decide if Anthony Edwards' dunk is going to win over Bama, over Jada Coleman, over Lamar Jackson.
So the one I'll throw out right away. So I'm going to go reverse. I'm throwing out right away. And if this is wins, this is the dumbest voter group ever. Lamar Jackson's, when you look at the other moments, Lamar Jackson's. And so I know as a Minnesota fan, you guys want to say, where's Anthony Edwards go in this? If you put Anthony Edwards up, so we're going to do like a bracket. We could do bracketology for the ESPYs. Let's go bracketology or round robin or whatever. If they would have a season fight head-to-head, let's do it this way. Anthony Edwards versus Lamar Jackson. Well, Anthony Edwards' dunk took over the internet, for the entire, week. Even when there were more games, people were still talking about the dunk. One, because the additional story around it with the broken finger, it feels like a lot of the stuff he's doing, send the video, all this other stuff, and, bring your ass. I know there's some other stuff behind the scenes that we're not hearing about with Anthony Edwards, and it's going to take him to win a championship. I hate to say it. Think about the amount of Jordan stories that come out, but there's not a lot of Barkley stories that come out. There's a lot of Shaq stories. There's a lot of Kobe Olive stories. There's a lot of LeBron stories. People want to hear stories about winners. And so that's the thing is when you talk about Magic Johnson, they did a whole series on the Lake Show because the Lakers won. You have to win to get that type of life. But Anthony Edwards, I hope he gets a ring. I hope the Timberwolves win. at some point. I hope it's not in 2030 when he has to go somewhere else. But when you look at the team and that game and what they were going to play for versus Lamar Jackson and that, Anthony Edwards wins that battle. And so that's why I would knock him down. Now I'll put Lamar Jackson up against Jada Coleman. I don't even have to talk about that. That was a home run walk-off to go to the national championship. No questions asked. Get out of here, Lamar. The AFC, Alabama and the Iron Bowl. If you look at the Iron Bowl won, we've already seen huge moments. The missed field goal in Auburn returns it for a touchdown. By the way, that guy's son is now going to college. I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. That guy's son, the guy that made the play in the Iron Bowl, that's how old we are. His son is preparing to go to college. I don't know if he's going to college this year or he's getting recruited now, but I did see like he was getting recruited by Auburn because somebody was like, yeah, so-and-so's son.
Chris Davis was the guy.
Chris Davis. They were like, his son was like on campus for a visit or something at Auburn. And they're like, if you want to feel old, Chris Davis, the guy that won the Iron Bowl, his son is now a recruitable age in high school. So I don't know, like, is he a freshman? He could be, who knows? But I just know he's a recruitable age. And I was like, wow, like that. Because I don't feel like that play was that long ago. But then you look back and like,
it's like 2013, I think, is the year. Yeah.
So that's 11 years. So, because I think he must have had him in college. So, so he
probably had him, when he was young.
Yeah, he probably 4 or 5 in college with him. And then, now he's 16, 17. It's like, what in the world? Or 14, 15 even. Because if that was 11 years ago, maybe he had a 2-year-old in college. He's 13, 14, 15 now. But it's like, man, that's crazy. That was 11, like 2013. When I hear the word 2014, 13, it doesn't seem that long ago. But then you think about it, like, that was almost a decade. Like, it just feels like life is going too fast, Sam. But when you think about that, so right away, Iron Bowl, big moments, catching the back of the end zone, wins. One, if they lose that game, because 32 seconds left, we already know about Lank, let a naysayer know, with Jalen Milroe. If you, like, all that built up to that moment, he is letting the naysayers low because people said he wasn't a throwing quarterback. He wasn't this. He's a running quarterback. He wanted to, like, hey, I can throw the ball. That's why I'm excited to see him this year too. Like, because again, it's too late now, but I would have loved for the Vikings to be able to hold on to Kirk Cousins and then draft a guy like Jalen Milroe. Like, because I feel like there's some additional quarterbacks coming out this year that aren't going to be seen as high as this class was, but I think have a chance to be just as good, if not better. But anyway, so when you look at that, you got to get Lamar Jackson out of there. Like, the Iron Bowl, you win, you lose that, you get knocked out of the championship. So in that aspect, I lay it out that way. I'm putting the AFC pass fourth. Where would you go with the AFC pass?
Fourth, easy. It wasn't a critical moment of the game. It was not a touchdown. It was the result of a broken play. Yeah, it's very athletic on Lamar's part. But think if that's the play that represents the whole NFL for the year, Ron. There wasn't a better play. There wasn't a run or a catch and run, a one-handed play. There had to have been a better, more meaningful NFL play than that. That kind of surprises me that was what they went with.
Well, the Super Bowl was ruined by Tony Romo. Like, he didn't let the moment breathe ever. So we didn't have that, like, pandemonium, like, it should not be the analyst. It should be the announcer doing what he does. That's why Paul Allen gets so many great moments with the way he leads in the stuff, because he allows it to go. Pete Buttigieg waits, like the Minneapolis Miracle. Like, I could see Tony Romo doing the Minneapolis Miracle. Like, all right, they're lined up to the right, 3 receivers. They're gonna run Hail Mary. And what I do with Hail Mary is I would send the 3 guys. And as he's still trying to explain what he would do in a Hail Mary, the play's going. I would send 3 guys straight down. I would have 1 guy run all the way across the field, and then I'm going to throw it all. Oh, wait, he caught it. Oh, wait, no, Jim. No, I can't believe this, Jim. Is he going to score? And Stephon Diggs scores, Jim. Like, I don't know if I would have called that play, Jim. Calling an out route. I get it. You're trying to get to the sideline, but I don't know if I would have called it that. And, like, dude, let the play breathe. And so that's why I think so many NFL moments this year that could have been great in the Super Bowl probably got overshadowed by people's hate for the way Tony Romo missed the moment. Like, he kept talking about the coin toss and the overtime call and what I would do here is kick the field goal. Oh, wait, they scored. Okay. Oh, wait, is it over? Wait, is it over? Like, they don't get a chance to, like, yes, Tony, it's over. Like, because you could tell Jim Nantz is sitting there like, dude, just, can I talk? Can I say something? And so what made Tony Romo great is also what's going to make people hate Tony Romo, because he would be right sometimes, but then a lot of times he's wrong, and then he's going to tell you he's wrong. And so in that moment, I think that's what the NFL has. They only have that play. Like, I'm pretty sure there's some other ones out there, but we didn't have like a JJ Buffalo Bills moment this year. He was hurt. Jamar Chase didn't really have a ton of stuff going on this year. Tyreek Hill gets hurt. So the Dolphins don't have a lot of magic moments. The Chiefs, it was more just Travis Kelce. The 49ers was a system. But yeah, they're represented by Lamar Jackson catching a pass from himself and didn't even score a touchdown on it. Like, so that's their play of the year, I guess. But when you look at Anthony Edwards versus that, yeah, no. And so then when you put him up there, so then let's go to Jada Coleman now. So you go to Jada Coleman's walk-off. I love baseball, softball, more softball than baseball. The walk-off home run is the consummate, like, I want to have a walk-off. Like, whether it's a walk-off hit, whether it's a walk-off run, like, that's the biggest moment for batters. To be able to hit a home run, look at the crowd, do what you do, bat flip, whatever, get out of here. And we've seen like the Major League Baseball fights because of this, because dudes would do it. They flip the bat, they look at the pitcher and flip him off. And, and then the pitcher wants to fight when he gets home. Softball is not really like that, but they do celebrate. But I fail to see where non-softball fans, because I'm a softball fan, non-softball fans will vote. So in my opinion, I would put the home run over Alabama's moment personally. But also I struggle because Anthony Edwards' moment, it was a great play, but the moment, like there was no buildup of a national championship opportunity, or there wasn't if that was in the playoffs to beat the Nuggets to go to the next round of the playoffs, then I get it. To go to the Western Conference Final, you dunk on Jokic like that and break your, dislocate your, maybe it's higher. But I just think the moment for Anthony Edwards, so I hate to say it, Timberwolves fans, I think it's going to come down, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's going to come down to Alabama and Oklahoma. I don't really have an answer for between the two.
Yeah.
I could see Oklahoma one because the fanfare of love. Now there's some hate for Oklahoma, but 4 championships in a row, they four-peated. That's crazy, no matter what the sport is, because I think the Lynx four-peated, right? Or no, did they just win 4? Did they go 4 in a row?
The Lynx actually never went back-to-back. I think they alternate. I think they won in like 11, 13, 15, and 17, like odd number of years or something.
Has anybody ever four-peated ever in sports?
Other than Oklahoma? I
don't think so.
Didn't the Celtics rattle off like 11 out of 13 championships in the 60s?
Is that what it was?
The Celtics probably did. Let me check, but
because I was trying to figure out. Oh, so in the last, so like the Canadians and the Islanders, they did it. The Celtics won multiple in a row. The Yankees won 5 in a row. Canadians 5, Celtics 8. So there have been some others. But I feel like those were like a long time before we were like caring about sports.
Well, the leagues were so much smaller. It was a lot easier to do that.
For hockey, you mean?
And for like the NBA in the 60s or hockey in the whatever decade.
Oh, true.
The leagues were so much smaller that if there was a juggernaut in an 8-team league, that was a lot more possible.
True, because you got like the Boston Celtics, you got the Houston Comets, which was the inaugural WNBA league, I guess, but it was only 8 teams. So of course that was easy to do back there. The Montreal Canadiens, the New York Islanders, the New York Yankees, and they did that from 1936 to 1939. So can we really count that? Sorry, I hate to say it. 1949 and also 1953. Can we count that? I don't know. I mean, it wasn't, athletes back then weren't what they are today. So that's what makes Oklahoma in this era of sports, this era of technology in sports, this era. And like, I don't know if you saw this, but now in softball, Sam, like it used to be and I'm pretty sure this coming to the NFL one at some point. I don't know, especially for quarterbacks, because it probably won't get hit as much. But now pitchers where like it's not an Apple Watch, but it's a display screen. So the coach can type and then it sends the message to their watch on the mound. So it's no longer like I'm giving you signals or the catcher's giving you, it's like a watch, and then the catcher has one and the pitcher has one. And so she's getting her signals, and her and the catcher both can see it. And then they both know what to do. It's like, it's almost like, hey, pitch it outside, and then she's going to try to steal, so you throw her out. I'm like, that's crazy. But I will say, I don't know if you heard of the Coach Com, because now coaches, because we know football has it, now softball, baseball has it. So it's in the catcher's helmet, and the coach can talk to the catcher and then can type to the pitcher. So they're trying to make communication way easier for these people. So the technology to do this 4 years in a row, I almost feel like Oklahoma might get it too, just because like women's sports gets overlooked. Like they might be like, look, this is a huge moment for Oklahoma, for women's sports. Let's give it to Oklahoma because Alabama's had their moments. Anthony Edwards will have his day in the sun, and Lamar Jackson, no, get out here with that crap. So yeah, it could be Oklahoma, but I don't know. What are your thoughts? I think it might be Oklahoma, maybe Anthony Edwards or Alabama, and then the fourth.
So I can't say with confidence if there's a committee that helps vote. There's definitely a fan vote. Like there's definitely a fan vote. I don't know if there's also a committee that like helps in deciding. Because if it's a fan vote, I hate to say it, I'm not sure enough people are familiar with the Oklahoma home run to relate to it.
It was a fan vote. It's probably Anthony Edwards because the whole world saw that.
So what I'm looking for, if I'm looking at the most deserving, I'm looking at the intersection of a great play and a great moment. Alabama. And I think that Alabama Auburn, not only was the pass excellent, the catch was excellent, and the moment was about as big as it gets in college football.
And the degree of difficulty.
The degree of difficulty of that play was very high. Same with Edwards. But the football, that pass and catch meant more in that context than the Edwards dunk. Whereas, and then if you compare, the Jada Coleman home run, huge moment, ordinary home run. Like the home run itself was a normal home run. The moment is what made it big.
True.
So that's why I would go with Alabama Auburn as my number one. And then you're on your own after that. I like the Jada Coleman, the Anthony Edwards. That's all very close to me. The Lamar Jackson one is the one that I put number 4 flat out.
Yeah, you bring up a good point with that too. The degree of difficulty or the moment, but then the degree of difficulty, 4th and 31. Because if it was a tie game too, that changes the thought because it's like, oh, you have nothing to lose here. But they wasn't a tie game. They were down 4, so they couldn't go for a field goal. They had to go for the score. So the degree of difficulty of a 4th and 31, like if it was 4th and 6 on the goal line, again, is that hard to score from there with that offense and those players? But 4th and 31, absolute strike to the corner of the end zone, gets the 2 feet down. It kind of felt like the only thing that could have made it prettier if he did like the Santonio Holmes toes or the Chris Carter toes and like caught it and then just like fell back. So his toes were like, that's why Santonio Holmes was the play, and it was a Super Bowl. But it was the play. He got an ESPY for that one, him and Ben Roethlisberger, because of the way he caught it, the throw, the corner of the end zone. Odell Beckham, like his had nothing to do with moments, but we know he got an ESPY for his because that took over the internet. Like I woke up to that the next day. Like, what happened? Because I missed it. I went to sleep on it because I think it was Monday night or Sunday night football. But I went to sleep and I remember like waking up like, what just happened? Like, because it was like my phone was blowing up. Odell Beckham is trending, and I'm like, who? And he was a rookie, right? Wasn't that his rookie year he did this?
Yeah, he exploded onto the scene. Yeah,
because I was like, who is Odell Beckham? Because I wasn't too familiar with like LSU football. I was a Big Ten guy, and I remember like, who is Odell Beckham? And I like started looking up and like, oh, he plays for the Giants. Who is this guy? And then I see the catch, and I'm like, oh my goodness, oh my! And I was like, when he comes to play the Vikings, that's why I was looking forward to when he finally got a chance to play against Xavier Rhodes. And we know Rhodes were closed, but I was like, if you want to be considered the best corner, you got to go against that guy. Because in that moment, in that 3-year span, I'd say before he started getting hurt, there was nobody better than him in that 3 to 4 year span. Like he was taking slants to the house. He was catching hitches and he had a Randy Moss aura around him. And then injuries took over, and then he got traded after cut. So that just sucks the way his career went. But yeah, like that's an ESPY. So Anthony Edwards could be the moment of the fans. But yeah, you're right. The moment, the Iron Bowl, like how big that is just for that side of the world, like that South SEC, like man, and that's why too. I will say this. I do truly feel like if that was Alabama softball and they four-peated, they probably would be higher up too, because people love Alabama sport, like, and they just have bigger fan bases. But the fact is, Oklahoma, I think people are sick of them winning. She's done it with like different rosters to it, like, because you just one thing if you say you've had the same dominant. Her pitcher left and went to Nebraska. The number one pitcher in the country left and went to Nebraska, and she still ended up and she wasn't the number one seed. That's the thing. They weren't the best team all year. They were getting beat because they didn't have their ace. They had to find ways to win, and they found it. They found it in the bats. But yeah, I think it might be Alabama too. You're right, but it'll be fun. I think hopefully Anthony Edwards pulls off a miracle, and
he might.
It hit enough, because I wonder too if they're using like Twitter and social media as metrics, because they can say like, man, this got whatever many downloads or this many views. This moment got this many views, because I'm pretty sure it's just Sports Center. They're not going to use like the whole internet, but they can use their tweets of those moments and see what the views are like. Like, how many people watched this Alabama play? How many people watched the Oklahoma home run? How many people watched Lamar Jackson, which is, and how many people watched the Anthony Edwards dunk, which surpasses all of them. I think the dunk was the most talked about, the most watched, the most distributed, shared, bookmarked, or whatever you want to call it. So that's where I could see them going Anthony Edwards, because if they're using those metrics of the internet, which we know a lot of voting now is internet based, Anthony Edwards does get it there. Like, because his moment had nothing to do with the moment. It was, my goodness, did you see that play? Like, that
viral.
was absolutely
viral.
Instant. He became, he was already a star, but we'll see. When is the ESPYs, by the way, Sam? I don't even know.
I believe it is a week from Thursday.
Okay. A week from Thursday. So yeah. So we'll get more on that. I'm looking forward to the ESPYs. I know the BET Awards was on the other night. And they had some athletes. They had some Kendrick Lamar, Drake stuff, and the vice president was talking on there and did a little skit. Very cringeworthy, by the way, but she did a skit. So but yeah, it'll be fun to watch these ESPYs, because I love to see the person, because we know Peyton Manning always does some stuff and loves to pick on people, and his jokes go viral because they're very dry, but they're hilarious. We know maybe Tom Brady and the roast returns, but I'm pretty sure Gisele Bundchen, maybe he's like, dude, we're back together. Y'all got to stop talking about my wife now. Like, we're getting back together. Please don't talk about her. Like, talk about Robert Kraft now. She's off limits. He's on. You guys, he already gave me. I'm in the Hall of Fame with the Patriots. I can't take it away now. So yep, massage away. Like, do whatever you got to do. Leave my wife out of this and my kids, but y'all can have fun with Robert Kraft now, because I got my jacket. I got my rings. They retired my number. So go after them. But yeah, I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. We'll be back after this. We want to make sure everybody knows that SiriusXM, we're the Daily 3 is coming back after this, by the way. But the SiriusXM is a proud partner of XM Radio, and please make sure you download the SXM app on whatever platform you're using, and make sure you guys know anytime you want to take us on the road, again, just download it and check out our Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast on YouTube, following every Twins, Vikings, Wild, or Wolves game. Just go to YouTube, subscribe by using your email address, or your app already gives you an email address when you download YouTube on your phone. Just hit the subscribe button on Locked On Sports Minnesota. It's simple and it's free. Why not do it? But we'll be back, and we're coming up next. We got the Daily 3. That's 3 questions. We'll spend about 2 minutes each today. Well, now it's time for the Daily 3, so take it away, Sam.
All right, Vikings question of the day. We do this every week, and this one is about the kicker. Ron, how confident do you feel in the Vikings' decision to let Greg Joseph walk and draft a new kicker, Will Reichard?
So if this was what was the era? Mike Zimmer, I'd be extremely nervous, because I'd be like, I don't know if they can develop a kicker. But I will say kickers are temperamental. They are relationship based. They are a different group. Like, we know punters have a little bit more edge to them. When you think about Pat McAfee, Greg Coleman, they have a little bit thicker skin. They're willing to joke with the team. Kickers, because punters can't lose a game per se. Like, if their punt gets blocked and they lose, it's not their fault. It's the blockers. If they kick a ball short, the defense still has a chance. Like, I've never seen a punter kick it backwards and lose a game on a fielded punt. But a kicker can lose a game. And so they're different. And so to bring in a rookie, now one, this kid has won big games. He's had big moments. He's been in the NFL system, I guess when you call it, in the building. So drafting a kid out of Alabama who's been a winner, a proven winner, made some big kicks and big moments, I like it. And I think that the Vikings' new staff, this player first, friendly, like come talk to me type of mentality, I think this might work for them. And also you're getting younger and a bigger leg. And I think that's the other thing. I like Greg Joseph, but we know his leg wasn't like he's not a 50+ yarder where you're like, oh, he's going to knock this down. From all reports, it sounds like this guy could be it. And it's, they said they call him a confident ball striker with good lift. So he is able to get the ball over the high hands. We know Greg Joseph sometimes had those low liners that got blocked or those, that never made it off the ground. And we're like, man, what was that? But even though Greg Joseph was pretty good, like I said, I think he was like 90-some%. But you want a guy with a bigger leg so that you don't have to always feel like, okay, we have no chance of making it here. This is a kid that people are saying he can make them from 50+ consistently.
The extra points were always a weird issue for Joseph. I don't know why. And he was streaky. There were some stretches where you would say, oh man, my gosh, 6 games in a row hasn't missed a kick. And then he would miss a kick in 3 straight games, and it was frustrating. The inconsistency was frustrating. So I think they have a chance to improve, to upgrade that position. Now, it might be a disaster. We don't know. But I think they're giving themselves a chance to upgrade and tap into that ceiling. Let's go to NBA free agency. We spent the first segment on it, and we looked to the Wolves. What have they done so far, Ron? Not a lot. They re-signed Luka Garza to come back and be a bench piece. The reports right now are that they are prepared to lose Kyle Anderson. Your thoughts on that?
So, I mean, we know that Luka Garza, is a big, who knows what their thoughts are. I don't know if it's, Rudy Gobert. We don't know how much time he has. Maybe Luka Garza is going to be a piece later. They can be like I don't even know who to compare him to. But I don't really have much to say to that. I mean, Kyle Anderson, we do know, and I think I said this on the basketball party. I think the guard from Kentucky, when you bring in Rob Dillingham, I think that gives you the guard you're looking for to be able to deal with some of this defensive stuff when you go, 3 or 4 guards. We know that Kyle Anderson was able to come in and do some of that defensively against smaller forwards, bigger guards, even, Joker. But maybe they have something else up their sleeve to bring a guy in, and they just like, hey, we want to get Garza. We're not willing to pay what Kyle Anderson wants. We don't think it's worth it for the type of or the brand of ball we want to get to. Maybe faster paced at all times. So I understand that move. I don't know. What do you think? I know that's your guy.
Yeah, I'll miss Slow-Mo. They'll have to fill that void. If they don't sign Slow-Mo, then they will need some kind of versatile power forward that can defend a little bit to take that spot. I've seen the name Joe Ingles tossed around there. I don't know a lot about him. We'll have to do the research, but we'll wait for news on that. We'll wait to see if they re-sign Jordan McLaughlin and Monte Morris as well. They are also free agents for the Wolves. And let me pivot to my last question, because you started to get into it. Which Wolves draft pick do you think has the bigger rookie impact? Is it Dillingham, the 19-year-old, or Shannon, the 24-year-old?
See, and I think that's the other part of the Kyle Anderson being let go. I think Terrence Shannon Jr., you can see him as a bigger defender guard guy. Like he can come in and be an instant defensive guy right away, not maybe a potential scoring threat at all times, but a defensive guy. And he's faster, he's more athletic. So that could be the Kyle Anderson backlash or, fallout. Like you bring in a guy like Terrence Shannon Jr. Again, it's going to, I think they're hoping to get through some of this NBA Summer League stuff because it starts July 12th. And so seeing what they have in Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr., but if those two together on the court, point guard 2 and 2, and they're just tearing it up and he's defending some of these guys in the post, he's dealing with 6'7", 6'8" wings in the post and he's fine or in the wing. Yeah, I think that's the end of Kyle Anderson, because now you're like, look, we can use this guy as our 8th guy, 7th guy off the bench. Rob Dillingham be our 6th guy off the bench. We just got younger, we got faster. It fits. It fits for the brand that I think they really want to get to, which is let's push the ball up the court. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? So rookie impact. I don't know. That's tough. That's tough because Rob Dillingham, you bought him. I think Rob Dillingham is truly a backup to Mike Conley. I think Terrence Shannon Jr. could have more of an impact like Kyle Anderson did. I could see him getting more minutes because you're going to want Conley down the stretch, and I don't think you need Conley and Dillingham on the floor together. I could see Shannon with those other two guards at the same time, and then you have Cat and Gobert, Cat and Naz Reid.
Yeah, I mean, if Dillingham can convert the offensive game to the NBA, then I mean that's going to be an instant skill he can use. But Shannon's pretty skilled offensively as well, so maybe if he buys in to that defensive concept more quickly than Dillingham, the Wolves might trust him a little more on the floor. So I could see a path for both of them. But if Dillingham is like a true Mike Conley backup, then that would just put him in the rotation right away. So I'll probably lean Dillingham, but I don't sleep on Shannon either. They could find a place for him, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like this is an opportunity for both. Like, I think both are going to have a role on this team, depending on, like I said, if Slow-Mo goes, I think Shannon can fill in that role. But I think Dillingham, I think Dillingham is the heir apparent too. He's like, yep, you're going to back him up, but then you're like, when he's done, which is maybe a year or two, you're our starting point guard with Anthony Edwards. And I think that's the other part of this. And he's a more of a slasher. He's going to give you some of that Ja Morant slash ability that Mike Conley just doesn't have in his legs anymore. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. This has been Locked On Sports Minnesota. I want to thank you guys. Make sure you go to Locked On Sports Minnesota's 24/7 YouTube live stream for all your favorite Minnesota sports shows around the clock. It's Vikings, Wild, Wolves, Twins, Gophers, all hours of the day. You can go on YouTube and just see what's rolling. Check us out. Check our shows out. You can go back and watch other shows, but make sure you hit the subscribe button on your phone or on your computer. You just need to make sure you're logged in with your email address on YouTube. I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. I want to thank you guys. Have a great 4th of July week.